Hi everyone, and good afternoon, good morning. So last session we started, or last session we discussed how to install Jenkins, how to install Java and everything, and how can we set up the environment. The reason to get that environment ready for you was to make sure to make practice all of you guys with the document, which has been already shared over the drive, so that you can make sure that okay, everything is you can do all the things as an uh, when needed. So I think most of you would be fine with that, as no one has any questions. So that's good. Now, last time we discussed how can a continuous integration work, or how can we trigger one job and then another job and then another job. So we discussed about all these things in the last session. Now, from today onwards, we will be we'll discuss about today. We'll discuss about the continuous delivery. How can continuous delivery work in Jenkins? How you can basically do the deployments and all those stuffs. How we can set up the Maven, and we have some Maven projects, so we'll see that how it can be installed and done. So you don't need to write any project or something. You just have to fork the GitHub repository. I'll give you the GitHub repository, and from there you can fork it into your, and that will start working for you guys. So first we'll start with all this, and then we'll discuss about the pipelines and these concepts, which are the main important part in this. And probably if time allows, so today master slave architecture is, tomorrow the master slave architecture will be discussed, which will mark Jenkins to an end. And from tomorrow itself we will be starting with Docker. Okay, now so let me share my screen. Okay, now I have the things already configured and stuff configured here. So let me open Jenkins. Okay, now okay, now as we will be fetching everything from the Git and all, so we have to install the Git on my server also. So I'll be sharing you the repository. In that repository, we have this project name as Simple DevOps project, and in which if you go to Jenkins file, so here we have how you can install the stuffs. So let's review here with the Git plugin install, and it will tell that okay, in your Jenkins server, basically this is your Jenkins server, and for you whatever your Jenkins server will be, you will take your Jenkins server, and in that I will be first running this command. So first I will go to my root by sudo su minus. I'll go to my root, then I will do yum install git -y. This will start installing my Git. It says it is already installed and nothing to do. So I have already Git installed on my server. Okay, now if I have already installed Git on my server, so yeah, I already have Git installed on my server, so I don't have to do anything. But if you run this command, Git will be installed. And once you have installed a Git, and after that if you run the command as git ---- version, it will tell you that whether the Git is successfully installed or not. Okay. Now, as per this document, it says that you have to set up Git on the Jenkins console. Means we have to install the Git plugin, and we have to set my Git repository. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So we know that we have to go to manage Jenkins, and then we have to go to manage plugins to install any plugins. Let's see what are the Git plugins we have. So for me, it's already installed. So if I search here with Git, you see I have Git, I have GitHub. All the GitHub plugin is a basically this is the plugin name, GitHub plugin, which has to be installed. Okay. Now this plugin has been installed. Now, once the plugin has been installed and like just install it with restart, means it will automatically restart your Jenkins server. What you have to do is that you have to go back to manage Jenkins, go to global tool configurations, and you will see Git here. Okay, where you have to configure your Git. Okay. Now to configure here Git, what we have to do, let's name it. Let's name it as GitHub. And the path to Git executable means wherever your Git is installed in your server to which. So if it is a Linux server, it will be your usr bin Git. That will be my yeah, that will be my this. And if for someone Git is not installed on the server, so what they can do, they can install the plugin and they can click on this install automatically. It will install the Git for you. Okay, it will automatically install the Git for you. Now, earlier versions of Jenkins, it used to take on if you just type Git, but nowadays we see that we in real time we face some issues, so we try to give the path as a USR bin Git. Let's see whether we have in USR bin whether we have Git or not. So we see that we have a Git here in the USR bin directory. We have a Git. Okay, so we can confirm. We will apply and click on save. So now I have configured my Git here. Okay. Now as I have configured my Git here, now I have some project name as the hello world one. I'll share this directory and you can just click fork as once you go to this one, you will click fork and it will basically be forked into your repository. So you don't have to worry about this. Now, whoever has worked on any of the end-to-end development, full stack development or kind of any development projects, you know that at the end of the day, if you are working on a Java project, so you get .jar file or .var file, which you deploy on the server. Or if the Android and these projects are there, you get .apk file and all, which you deploy on the server. Now, so this project, ignore the Docker file as of now. Okay. Now, for Maven is basically helpful to your build tool. It basically builds your project. It like combines all your code and all thing into one and build it. So for that, what happened that we have to run these projects and all, we have to install one web server, that is the Apache Tomcat, as well as the Maven. Now let's see that first of all that how we can install the Maven. Any questions? Okay. Now to install Maven, we'll go to Google. We'll do Maven install, and let's see this Maven Apache org site. And here, if I go to download, and here I see that I have to install for the Linux one. So for Linux one, you have to install the .tar.zz file, and for Windows and all, you can install normal binary.zip file. So let me click here and let me copy this link address. So in the Unix server, if you have to get any link or anything, so what you do that you use wget and you copy your link. Okay. Now it will basically download. So as you download in the browser, so in the Unix servers, you use wget command and your link, whatever the link is there to download that binary, it will download that binary. If I do ls-lrt, you see that this binary has been this tar.gz file, which was here. It is now in my server. Okay. Now, normally if you do the zip, and so what you have to do, you have to unzip it. So similarly, this is also the tar file or a zip file. This is what in Unix you do the zip like this. So I have to untar this. So I do tar minus, this is the command to untar it, tar minus xpzf, and this I have to do. So it has untarred everything. Now I'll clear my screen, and now I see that I have this. So to avoid the naming convention, I'll just move it to different folder name as Maven, which will be easy to remember. So what I did that I have just moved this folder to the Maven, like I have renamed it. Okay. Now this, now let me go to this folder cd Maven. Inside this, I have all my files and stuffs. Inside this, I have cd bin. Now in the bin, I have the different configuration files and all these things which are required for Maven to install. And you don't have to, like in Unix Linux, you don't have to install anything. It's just like you are putting here and it's installed now. And in normal Windows system, you will just right click on the exe file and do next. Now comes the important part, and that is the environment variable configuration. Okay, so to configure the environment variable, what I will do, like if I have to do it here, so I'll do in Unix, you do it via, one second. So what you do that you have to go to the bash rc. Like in normally in Windows, what you do in Windows, you do bash rc via the you can go to system variable and there you configure that environment variable. Here I am just taking the command. This is the command. I'll do here this. Now you see some path is already, some files are added here. Here I will add my files. Okay. Now to add my files and all, first of all, like let me add my Java path. I've added my Java path. Now another one I'll add my Maven path, which will be m2 underscore home equal to. So Maven path will be what two paths we have to configure in m2 underscore home opt Maven, and another one is m2 equal to opt Maven bin. Okay, basically, uh, so this will be my path. But one thing more I have to do as I'm writing opt there. So just give me a moment. So what I have done basically, I've just moved it to my opt directory as I'm writing in that that path. Now this is exactly what you do in Windows when you add your environment variable by giving the path. But after that, you add it in the path also. So you will add it like this: dollar Java underscore home, and then again colon dollar m2 underscore home colon dollar m2. So this will basically be added to your path now. So I'll have logged back. Now my path has been added for the Maven, and I have configured my Maven also. Let me see if my Maven is working or not. So if I do echo dollar m2, my path is configured. If I do echo dollar Java home, this will basically tell you that whether my path is configured or not. So this will tell me that whether my path is configured or not. So is it any questions here? Okay.
Sachin,
Hmm.
yeah, Vaibhav here. One thing that do like if in like if for our server we create some special user who will be configuring this, then in that case we'll need to make changes in that particular user's this bash profile now.
Correct. Yes. But ideally, you should make it under this profile only so that any user can pick it up. Right? You
Okay.
should not do the settings on the user profile settings in the.
Okay.
So the question which he has asked, that is related to the server terminologies, that he want to know that whether we have to do it under the bash profile or under the user profile. So you should do under the bash profile only. This is one of the important question in the interviews also, where people like me, we ask that if you have to configure the environment variable, so what is the difference between the bash profile settings and user profile settings? So for user profile, it will be restricted to only that user. If any other user is logging in, he or she cannot able to get those paths. That is the reason you should always configure the environment variable in bash underscore profile. Okay. Now my Maven is there, and I have the Maven installation steps also configured written here, where in your Jenkins server, so either you can download via that, or the way I have shown you, that right click and do copy link address. Okay. And you can make the directory, and here you can start, you can follow the steps, wget this, tar this, go to your vi bash profile, configure everything, and in the path add your this maven home, these things. Now to check, we will see maven minus minus version, and you see I have the Apache Maven installed in my server. Great. Now the next step is to set up it in the Jenkins. Okay. So it says that for Jenkins, you have to go and you have to install Maven Invoker and Maven integration plugin. Okay. The first step is to go and install the Maven plugins. So let's see if it is already installed or not. By default, it normally gives you with the current, but here we don't have any. So let's go to available. So we have this Maven integration, and I want Maven invoker. So I've selected these two plugins. I'll say first I'll click on install without restart. So it's installing Maven integration, Maven invoker, and you see the other plugins which it is installing. Basically, those are the dependent plugins for this. So whatever the dependent plugin will be there, it will be installed along with that. Okay, let it get installed. Now, as it has installed, I'll say restart Jenkins. Let it restart my Jenkins. Now, next step here, it says that go to manage Jenkins, go to global tool configurations and Maven, and configure the Maven path. So let it load, and let's configure the Maven path in the Jenkins so that it can take some projects. Anyone has any questions until here? Are you clear with the docs steps? If anyone wants to open the docs, you can go here and you can meanwhile see the docs. Why is my chat? Let's see, my Jenkins has been restarted. I'll go to admin, and I'll click on sign in. Okay. Now my Jenkins has been installed. Maven has been installed. I'll go to manage Jenkins. I'll go to global tool configuration. Configure anything, I have to go into global tool configuration. Now I'll see Maven here, and I'll add Maven, and I'll uncheck this and install automatically because it has been already installed. I'll write name as, let's say I write name as Maven, and my Maven home path was opt Maven. So I'll check there. You see, if you write any, yeah, sorry. So you have to write here till opt Maven only, not under till binary. Okay. Apply and save it. Now I have installed my Git. I have installed my Maven. I have configured my Maven. I have configured my Git. Everything is there. Okay. It's there. Now, let me do one more thing. Let me rename that settings to m2 underscore home to make it more clear. Okay, now I'll create my first Maven job. Okay, I'll create my first Maven job. And now this time I'm not selecting freestyle project, rather I'll select my Maven project. Okay, and I'll click on okay. Now here I'll write description as that this is my first Maven project. Then I want it to be from the GitHub project. So I'll take my GitHub project URL. So this is the my project. I'll copy this URL here. This is my GitHub project URL. My source code should be Git repository. I'll go back to my here. Under code, I'll find my Git repository URL. I'll write my Git repository URL. As it is a public one, you don't have to do anything. And branch is master only, so that is fine. Now everything else would be the default. Here for any Maven project, we have the default file, we have the root file from which everything is executed, and that is known as pom.xml. Okay, that is known as pom.xml. And there are some goals and some options associated with Maven to install anything, to run anything and stuff. So let's say that clean is one of the goal which will clean your which will clean all the older things and stuff, and then it will install and then it will package it into the war file. Okay, clean, install, package, these are the three of my goals in Maven. I'll click on apply and I'll click save. Now my first Maven job has been done. Okay, it is created. Any questions with this?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, Sachin. I mean, I can say like till now, I understand the steps what we are trying to do, but
Hmm.
I don't know what we are going to do further in the session. So if uh, again the same thing, if we have to do it from the scratch, then it will be difficult for me. So
No, every step is defined. I have the document, you have the links here. So till now, whatever, and so I have started from that place only till until when you guys are there. I've not done anything before the session. Hmm.
yeah,
So you guys have already Java and Jenkins installed in your
yeah,
system,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, if you have Java and Jenkins installed in your system, people who are using Windows or who are using EC2 AWS. So for them also, I'll tell one more thing that how you can stop avoiding to write every time to run the Jenkins and like to every time install all these things. Basically, it is for them who are using cloud environment. But for you, Babita, once you are so now after the session, what you can do, you can install Git and then you can install Maven.
Mm-hmm.
We have done here everything. So probably you might have to re-go through the recording to go through each steps probably. But with that you can do, and if you are facing any issues, we will do that.
Okay. So like here we are just going to see like how you are doing this process, like how you
We are
are
going to only see, and we will be doing all these things after the session because there are a lot of things to be done. We
yeah,
can't take up with that way.
yeah.
For
Okay,
everyone, this is the same process.
okay, thanks.
Now, this is the Maven project which has been created here. Now I'll build this job and let me click on build now, and you see it is building. Let me go here. Let me open the console output. Let's see what is going on here. So if you go here, you see that it is fetching from it is cloning from my repository. Okay, once it has cloned from the repository, this project has been cloned. Okay, it is doing some jobs and some stuffs. It has downloaded whatever things. It has run the Maven clean. It has cleaned the project. Then it has installed, and now it is packaging. So let's wait for this to finish. I have added some JUnit tests and all also. So it will be doing all the steps. So you can take any Maven repository from Google. I also did the same thing. I just took any Maven repository and stuff. And now you see it has ended up with success. Okay, so this means my job has been done. Let's go here, and it is still refreshing. Progress is going on. I'll go back to this, and you see that my Maven project is there, and whatever I was seeing here under the Maven project, the server, web app file, and all this, I see it here also now. Now, if you want to see it on the server, so you see here, Maven project, web app, server, these files are there which it has built up. Okay. And if you want to see test results, so you can click on this test results, and you see that it has this test result also where no test result has been failed. Now, so if I go to workspace, this is the workspace. This workspace is the folder where you see that Git has been initialized, server, web app, Docker file, pom.xml, readme.md. And this was the same here. Web app, server, Docker file, readme, md, and pom.xml. Means from my Git, now everything has been installed on my Jenkins server. From my Git, everything has been installed on my Jenkins server. So this is the way you can run any of the Maven jobs. Okay, and you can see all the jobs and all the things has been done. Okay, now this is one of my project, but now my requirement is that I want to download it. Okay, sorry, I want to deploy it to some another server. Okay, like as yesterday or last session, Prasad also was interested in this too. He wanted to see how we can do the deployment from Jenkins. So we will see that. Before that, here there is a GitHub something. Let's see what is it. So if you do see, it automatically takes you to that GitHub repository from your Jenkins, through which it has pulled a code. Okay. Okay. Now this is done. And any questions here? Okay. If not, what I'll do, I'll go and so as we want to install it on another server, I'll create another server people who cannot create another server, or who have some issues with, like, let's say that people who are using a Windows VMware and all, or using a Windows, for them it's not required to create a different server. You can do it on the same server. And let me install the server. After that, I'll tell you what you have to do. So here I'll create another server, and I will name it as my Tomcat server. My Tomcat would be running on the port 80, so I'll just open it for everything. The same configuration which you do until now. Now what I have to do, meanwhile the server is installing, I have to install the Tomcat Apache on this, right? Tomcat is what? It is a web server through which your application will be running, or it will host. Okay. So I have a Tomcat documentation also here. Yeah. So if you go to this Tomcat, so here we have the Tomcat installation.md file, in which, let's say that we have a EC2 instance, and here it says that we have the Java and everything should be running. And after that, we have to follow these steps. So we'll follow all these steps. Let's see. My EC2 instance is here. I have to install the Java in it, right? Now, okay. So I'll go to this. I'll connect to server. I'm not logging via PuTTY. It's just another way of logging into via the browser itself. So here I'm logging via browser. I'm doing sudo su minus. I'm going to my root, and my first step is to install Java. Now my Java has been installed. I'll copy this Java home path. Now if I run Java minus version, we see my Java is installed on this server. Now as a next step, I have to install the Tomcat, okay, the Apache web server. So what I'll do, cd opt. Now what I'll do again, I'll go back to Google. I'll write Tomcat download. The first site which you get, Apache Tomcat, we are going to work with Tomcat 8 version. The reason for that, because Tomcat 9 is not yet accepted by Jenkins. So we have this tar.zip gz file. I'll go copy link. People who are using Windows, they will copy the 64-bit Windows zip. Go back here. I'll go to sudo su minus. write wget this. Now my Tomcat is being downloaded on this system. Okay, I am into the root directory. Now just let me just change the host name here. It's like not required for everyone. I'm just changing it for my thing. Wait, yeah, I will install it from putty only. This is a problem with browser that it does not work properly. Now you see we have Apache Tomcat here. This is a different server. This is not my Jenkins server. This is a different server which I have installed. I'll just change the host name to Tomcat. It's not required for others. For people who are using Windows, for them it's a normal process like you do Windows. You install your Java by clicking on next, next, next. Similarly, okay. Now I'll go to I'll do one thing. I'll do tar minus. I'll untar this file. This is done. Now you see I have Apache Tomcat here. So what I'll do, I'll move this file to opt directory. So because all the binaries and things has to be installed on opt directory, not in the root directory. Like normally in Windows, you install everything on the C drive. So similarly here, and here I'll rename it back to Tomcat for easier way. So you see I have renamed it to Tomcat. This AWS folder, ignore it because any server you install, it has AWS by default here. Okay. Now, once you are here, so we have to start my Tomcat. So I'll go to Tomcat. Now in this we have bin, 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 the executable files. I'll go to bin. I'll do ls minus lrt. Now here you have startup.sh file. People who are going to use Windows, they will have startup.exe file. But for us, we will have the startup.sh file. I'll run this file via the // command. People who are using Windows, they will just run it via the normal command. Now we see my Tomcat has been started. Okay, as soon as you run it, Tomcat will start. But how you are going to verify? The one thing is that you can do Tomcat minus, not Tomcat, Apache minus minus version. Okay, ignore it. Leave it. So now we have to verify that whether my Tomcat is running or not. So I'll go, people who are using Windows, they can use localhost, but people who are using cloud, they'll go to Tomcat server IP here and do 8080. Tomcat runs on port 8080. So you see I have my Tomcat installed and my Tomcat is running successfully. Now, one more thing is important here, okay, which is like we have to configure some users and all, okay, so that Jenkins can able to run it. So for that we go to manager app, okay, but it says access denied. For manager app it says access denied. So for that what we have to do, let's see the documentation. So with documentation, you see we have run this wget command under the out folder. You can directly go to there, you run this, everything is done. Now after that, like you can run these commands here. What they have done, they have created a symbolic link. Okay, in Unix Linux they have created a link so that you can easily run it by a simple command rather than running it by the other commands. Okay, and access Tomcat from your browser on port 80 by your putting your public IP. So either your public IP or your local host, whatever is required there. Okay, people who are working on cloud, they will be using public IP. People who are working on Windows, so Babita, you will be doing local host here. Okay. Any one of you will face any issues, just let me know. Once you will be doing all this stuff, we can do all this. Okay. You can ignore this step. The reason it has been done here, because you see your Jenkins is also running on the port 80, 8080, and your uh, Tomcat is also running on port 8080. So that's the reason I have mentioned here to change the port, but that is not required. Now, basically what we have to do is that we have to, where is my Tomcat? Now we have to do what, that we have to add some users and roles. Like here you see, I've added some users like admin and password. You can copy the same Tomcat and these password and deployer and this. So the reason, because when Jenkins try to access Tomcat, when you configure it in Jenkins, you have to give Jenkins a particular username through which it can able to access your Tomcat. And for that we have to do the changes in this file. Every one of you will find this file, the context.xml file. Okay, so let's go to this file. Let's search this file. So here, whatever the file, this file will be in this web apps folder. Okay, this file will be in the web apps folder, and we have to change these two files. Now let me go to, so you see one is for the manager and one is for the host manager. This is the Tomcat configuration, but we will go here in this file. Okay, people who are using Windows, they can just normally go to Tomcat folder, and there, like let's say if you have a Tomcat folder here, you search context.xml and it will show you the file. So don't change in the conf file, just change in the web apps host manager and manager. Okay. Now this is my XML file for Tomcat. Now in the first file, let me go back again. The file which is for the host manager. Okay, what you have to do is, you see that right now it is allowing only IPs which are starting from 127. 127 IP is nothing, it is my loopback IP address. That is my local host IP address. Okay, it is allowing only that. So if it is will be allowing only this, so people who are using Windows, for them, so it will be very good, because for them you don't have to do any such changes. But people who are using cloud environment, for them you have to change, because your IPs in cloud will start with 13 dot something. Okay, it starts with 13 dot something, not with 127 dot something. Is this point clear to everyone? Guys, is this point clear or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So what I'll do, comment this. So any XMLs, if you have to comment, what you have to do, you have to put this less than sign. Okay, you have to put less than sign, exclamatory, minus minus, and I have to, so sorry, I have commented at a wrong place. So you see that this is starting from here. Okay, because it has not yet, and it is closed here. So it is closed here, starting from here. So I will make changes here. I'll comment this file like this. Okay, like this I will do what? I will comment this file. Okay, this second line I don't have to comment, just this particular, and I will save it. Now I'll go to another file, that is which is under my manager folder. I'll do the same thing here also. So this is because I want to allow, so people who are using Windows, they can skip this step. Okay, people who are using Windows, they can skip this step, but people who are using cloud, for them this step is required. is required because in the real-time environment when you work, you don't want it to be allowed from the only loopback IP address. You use a IP address. So to allow that IP address, either you mention that particular IP address here, or you comment this will allow, your web server will allow all the IP address. Okay. Now this is done. So what I'll do, I'll restart my Tomcat server so that it will take all the settings. So to restart, what you have to do, you can go to shutdown.sh. It has shut down, and then you can start it again by this. So my Tomcat is started. Let's verify if it is started or not. So yes, it is running. Now if I try to access my manager app, you see it is accessible, but now it is asking me username and password. Earlier it was giving me access denied. The reason because I was trying to access it via different IP, which was not even allowed here. If you see that XML has gone there, but if you see it was written allow 127 dot something, right? So to allow, I have to do this. Now I have to give the username and password for this. So for that, what I have to do as per my documentation, it says that go and look for tomcat users.xml file. It says go and look for what file? Tomcat users.xml file in the Tomcat home directory, which will be under the conf, and there add this XML. Fine. So let me go here. So again, I'll do this. I'll search here for this file. Now you see this file is under the opt tomcat conf tomcat users.xml. Okay. So guys, this is the normal Windows Unix command to find any particular file. If you are using any Windows, again you have just go to your folder Tomcat and search here. You will get the file, or just follow this. So you will see that under opt tomcat conf there is this file. I'll go there. This file. Now you see again this is some. These are the configuration which you see this roles are already written here, like role name Tomcat, which has this format is already written here. Okay. But the problem is that this is commented. Okay, this is commented. You have to add this thing under the Tomcat users only. Okay, you have to add this configuration under the Tomcat users because you are adding the users. What I'll do, I'll copy paste this. People who are using this, they can just right click and do open with notepad. It will open it for you. I will paste it. Okay, you see I have pasted it here. Now I'll see if no other, so I'll remove the improper space. So it's, you see that it has taken extra space, which I am removing, and I am saving my file. These two are the important steps, guys, for Tomcat configuration. Is it clear for everyone or not? Prasad, Saurabh?
Yes, it's fine.
Yes, it's in. Just one question, like, are you sharing all these, the URLs which you are referring to?
Yeah, I will be sharing my GitHub repository. This is my GitHub repository. So
okay.
As soon as you fork it, it will be there. I've created another GitHub repository. So I'll be sharing it over after the class.
Okay.
So you just have to fork my repository and it will be under your repository there. Okay, now I'll restart my Tomcat server again. So for that I'll do shutdown.sh and start.sh, and my Tomcat is restarted. Let's try to see whether my Tomcat is running or not. Great, my Tomcat is running, and so let me do one thing more. I have to use this manager. Now I'll write password and username, what was there, admin, and you see I am here now. This is the page whenever you work in a real-time environment, this is the page for to manage any of your web servers. Okay, to manage any of your web servers, this is the page for, and like you can deploy your var and all this from here also, and these things also. However, we are not going to do these things. This is something different, but this is important to deploy my var file. Okay, so you can take any of the username password whichever you are is being configured here. Okay, so guys, this is the basic configuration and stuff, which basically, like, no one, please don't feel anyone like that okay, I don't know this or I have not done this. I myself don't remember all this. I always, like, in real time also when I work, I always do Google, copy these things and change it as per my, like, if username password has to be changed, I change it. Okay, or as like now I give training and also probably like I have these documents in my local itself, so I follow those documents. So no one remembers these things, so please don't think in that way that, oh, what the hell he's telling, I don't even know all this stuff. So no one tell all this stuff, but to achieve what we are going to do, that to achieve the deployment, we have to do all these steps. Okay, okay, now uh, now this is my Jenkins. So my Tomcat and things is configured. I have configured my IP related stuff because I wanted to do the IP related, allow all the IPs. I wanted to log in to configure the manager app so that it can, so that Jenkins can basically deploy anything on the Tomcat server. So it can be, so for that I have configured my roles and users so that Jenkins can able to log into my Tomcat manager. Now, once all this thing is done and once you have started everything, now what is my another process? My another process would be to go and deploy it on the Tomcat server, okay, or on the server which is whichever you want to deploy. For that, we have one plugin named as deploy to container. You see right now, you remember what I said in first class. Jenkins don't do anything. Whatever it is a set of plugins. Keep on installing plugins, configure it, everything is going on. For everything there is a plugin here. Okay, you don't do anything. Now for this we have a plugin named as deploy to container. This is my plugin name, which I will be installing. So for each and everything, you see, for Maven I have installed Maven plugin. Okay, for Tomcat container to this I will be using deploy to container plugin. Okay, let it load. You see deploy, as soon as you type deploy, you will get deploy to container. Okay, you say this plugin allows you to deploy a var to a container after a successful build. Install without restart so that it can install properly. See, it is installing other extensions also along with it. Once it's installed, I'll say restart my Jenkins server. So let it get installed first.
Sachin,
Yeah.
one question. So, how to get which plugin is required for which type of project? Say right now, when you are working on it, you know that there is a deploy to container plugin. So tomorrow, if I'm doing a deployment, say of some other component, then how would I come to know that which plugin is required for this
For
type of?
okay, let's say that you are going to install it on the Nginx web server. Okay, there is another web server known as Nginx. So for Nginx, you have a plugin here. Okay, like you have to go and search basically that whether that for the Nginx you have a plugin or not, and you will just like install it. So install that plugin and configure that plugin. So it like basically it will, like, as and when we will work on the kind of a jobs and stuff, so on basis of that we will get to know all these things. Okay, now my this plugin.
And in case if the plugin is not there, what is the error usually what you get?
If it is not there and if you try to build, so basically it will say that your Jenkins is unable to find a path to particular thing. Like let's say to Tomcat, so it will say Jenkins is not able to find a plugin for Tomcat. See, if you are building the Maven project, so right now if you are building Maven project, so for building the Maven project, you should have that project name here, like Maven project. Okay. If you don't have that project only here, so how you're going to, you will not able to build only that project. You can't build a Maven project in the freestyle, right? We can't build a Maven project under the freestyle project. So for that, we have to get this particular plugin installed. You can't even configure only this thing. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now I have this item name as deploy on Tomcat server. I'll select my project as Maven and I'll click OK. I'll give the description. This is the job to deploy on Tomcat server. Okay. Now, as it is done, so what I have to do, I'll define again my GitHub project here. This was my GitHub project. Sorry. This is my GitHub project. I'll give my Git URL. This was my Git URL. Now we'll come to build. You see under the root already for Maven, or the default will be this form.xml. I'll be using clean, install, and package. Okay, this will be there. Now I have to deploy it. Okay, Prasad, focus. You like see here now. Now the important thing comes in. Everyone also see here only. So first, what we have to do? We have to do build, right? Basically, what happens that normally what you do that, let's say here you have your, sorry, here I have my git. Okay, now with git, after this git, what will happen that you first, what you do, you have checked in your code to git. Now once you have checked in your code to git, what you will do, you will put it under the Jenkins. Once it is put under the Jenkins, you said you build your project, right? You build your project, and from build, what you are going to get, you are going to get your var file. And in our case, if we see, we are going to deploy it on the EC2 instance, or if it is on a Windows, so it will be on the local host or the local machine. Local host is nothing, it is a local machine, your own computer. This is the process we follow. So right now, whatever process we have followed, okay, whatever process we have followed, for after this, this is going to build everything. Now I have to add a post build step. Okay, I have to add a post build step which will basically deploy my var. So that post build step should be this add post build action, and this should be deploy var or AR to container. This, but why we have installed that plugin? The reason we have installed that plugin, because if we don't install that plugin, you will not get this option. you will not get this option if you don't install the plugin. So if you have to, once you have installed the plugin, you will go to this and you will click deploy var to container. Okay, deploy your var files to container. Now here you can give your var file name. Let's say that you give it web app.var. We will, you see, we'll do Tomcat 8x container. Now you see, you have to add the credentials. Okay, you have to add the credentials and Tomcat URL. Okay, my Tomcat URL was what? My Tomcat URL was this, right? Till 8080. This is my Tomcat URL. So I'll give my Tomcat URL here. I will add the credentials. Now here I'll use a username from this. Let's say I'm using a username as deployer. Okay, I'm using a username as deployer. Password will be the same. ID I am giving the same, and this is Jenkins. I'll add it. Okay, I will add. Now this credentials has been added to my container. Okay, now this is Tomcat URL is done. If you want to give manager context path, so you can give this entire manager context path, but that is not really required. Okay. Now what we have to do, that we will go to, so we have configured everything. We have given the web app var file name. I'm just curious that, okay, one thing more. Yeah, this was, I was missing something. Now here, suppose I don't know what is my var file. Okay, what would be my var file? So what I'll do, I'll just give this. Okay, just go to that tooltip and copy this. Means it will take any of the var file, whatever is there. Okay, whatever the var file is being created by your application, it will take that particular var file. Okay, is it clear to everyone? This step is very important for deployment. Is it clear? I'll click on apply and save, and now this is saved. So I have configured this. Now I'll do what? I'll run the build now. Let's see how my build is going to be. So there's, I'll do console output. Now you see my Tomcat is running on another server. My Jenkins is running on another server. Here you see Tomcat is running on another and Jenkins is running on another server. Okay, I will be deploying it on that Tomcat server, right? So now you see that it has finished and everything has been done. So let's come back here. So let's see my workspace. My workspace, everything is there. Let's see my web app. Now under web app, under target, your var file is created. You see, in your everything in Jenkins, I told last time, right? In Jenkins, everything will be stored under your workspace. Now that file, that thing from Git, it moved, it created the var file and it has put it under the web app target folder. Target is the folder in which it will put it up. If let's first try to see whether it is deployed or not properly. Great. Okay. Now, so you see this application this particular thing, we wanted to deploy it on the server. Now to deploy it on the server, we have installed a deploy on container plugin. We have configured the Tomcat, like we have built a job with the Maven, and now in that job, I have given the goals as a clean install and package. I have built a job, and after that, after it has built, if you go to your workspace, you should see that under web app, it will create a target folder which has webapp.war file. Okay, here, let's see here if that folder is there or not. So here there is no target folder. Here there is no target folder under web app. Okay, here under web app, target folder has been added by Tomcat server because it has built your var file. Okay, it has built your var file. So for any project which you build on with the help of a Tomcat, it will be done via the same process. Okay, via the webapp.var file. And if you have to access it, so default location is web app. Okay, for any of the Tomcat URL, default location is web app, and you see hello, well, this is what I have printed here. You can do that. So this, like, I have took it from some other repository, as I don't know Maven and Java, so I just took it from some other repository, and so it is printing whatever the messages they have written it up. Okay, any questions here? Bhavita, any doubt? So
No, Sachin.
if you guys want me to go back to any other skin, I'll give 5 minutes, 2 minutes for everyone to recollect and to see what if you have any questions or anything.
For any project, like any project which is in our GitHub, if we need to like deploy, this is the same process we can follow.
Yes, this is the same process you follow. Now it depends on what kind of a project environment it is. Means this was a Maven project, which is basically built written in Java and all. So
Okay.
Maven project which has this step. There could be the way like you are using some other language. You are using C hash. You are using Node.js web application project. So for that, for Node.js web application project, the deployment process can be different. In Jenkins, and the deployment process is same. But when the deployment process is different, means for Node.js application, what happens that there is a utility or a package manager known as npm. Okay, you have to write those steps here. In like here, if you go to configure and you see this configuration here, for this configuration, what I have done here in the build, I have written this step. There, these steps will get changed. That's it. For if it is a different application, but if it is a Maven project application, then it will be the same only.
Okay. So I think for front end, mostly we'll use npm only. Like for JavaScript or for
No.
Node.js.
That is for Node.js. Node.js is one of the applications these days. This is being widely used by the developers. So for if they, so it actually depends on your environment. See, you can develop the application in lot of technologies these days, right?
Yeah.
So that now that deployment steps will depend on that application way. Okay, you can write a small Python program and you can deploy that also on your Jenkins server. Okay, in that you don't have to install Tomcat also, because if your, suppose if it is a normal script or automation, you just have to take it from your GitHub and put it on your server. So that you can do via this way. Okay, if you have an application built up in a Python, then you have to write a deployment steps for Python, which again you can like get it, like you have to again like Google it for based on a different applications. So
Yeah, right.
I would say at the starter, like people like who have not much experience with these things, they can follow this steps. So for them, they will get a confidence that how you can build or how you can install deploy a complete jar and these things, a jar or var file, the jar
Okay.
file. people who have a different development experience, they can search for any npm package and npm install project and all. In GitHub we have so many npm projects and all, and you can try to like use that one. Prasad, is it clear?
Yes, Sachin.
So, Prasad, can you tell me how you can do, like this is the, we did via the build now deployment, right? Now, if I want you to do this continuous deployment, how you can do that? This question is for everyone, but first I would like to hear it from Prasad and then from others.
No, I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm saying this is the steps we followed. So this is the one-time configuration you will do, right? You don't want to build every time your new projects, right? So
Correct.
if you want to do the continuous process of the same, right? This is one-time process which we did. But if I want to do the continuous process, let's say in the same project, now Saurabh is making some changes and he has put it to Git, right? So after you want this entire cycle to be continuous. So how you will do that?
Yeah, you need to set up the continuous deployment pipeline, right?
No, without pipeline also we can do that. Pipeline is just a different concept, like not different concept, same concept, but you have to write code there in pipeline.
Okay. Yeah, but you have to, it's basically you have to write the CD process now. That now you're checking in the code, but now it needs to run on to the server. So that needs to be written.
No, can you think of one more thing which we learned, yes, in the last session? Something very easy. Any
I don't remember.
anyone else can give any answers, any guesses?
Maybe you can go to the periodic what there is one tab wherein last week we checked build this deployment after certain period or
True, exactly. So you will be doing the poll SCM.
yeah policy.
Poll SCM option, which will be keep on polling to your GitHub, and as soon as any check-in will be there, you can do that. Or you can configure the GitHub hook trigger, which will be doing the same steps for you. Okay, via the GitHub hook trigger, for which you have to go ahead and you have to configure the webhook here. Webhook is nothing, that is your Jenkins URL, which you will be configuring. Under settings, it is webhooks. You go and add webhook. Or the poll SCM option. So you will be using the poll SCM option, which will be keep on polling it this. So once you guys are done with that, after that, try to do the same process via the poll SCM option. Try on your own to do the same process via the poll SCM option.
Yes, Sachin.
Yeah.
But here you're talking when you have only one repository, right?
Right.
Yeah, but in real life you won't have one repository. You will always have 3-4 repositories, and you will have to promote and everything.
Yeah, so one-time activity will be there, right, to configure that particular repository. You can in one project you can't, in one project you will not configure 4 repositories, right?
No, I'm saying what we called as environments or basically streams. So you will have to have that 4 different streams. So how poll SCM will be useful?
No, poll SCM is just polling your GitHub, right? You have your Git repository defined here, right? You can add more repositories here. You can add more repositories here. If you have other branches and all, you can add those repositories and those branches here.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the branches in Jenkins, not the GitHub ones. Because in Jenkins also you will have a dev branch which will be getting promoted to a, let's say, a release branch, or if we go by agile terminology, and then to a production branch or something like that, or a main or a dev.
No, I didn't got it. Jenkins branch, like this is something I'm hearing you.
Basically in your CI/CD pipeline as well, you will have different servers, and different servers will be having different Jenkins branches, correct?
Achha, you are talking about the pipeline concept.
Sort of, because in real life that will be there, because no one works on one single repository and one single branch.
Pipeline also repository will be the same. The entire concept which we are doing, all that the concept will be the same. That is why I see that most of the time we get confused. Oh my God, I have to write the code in pipeline, and now how I am going to do that. But the concept is the same, which we are doing it manually. The same manual concept we have to incorporate into the code. That's it. But when you create a pipeline, so at that time also you create one build pipeline. Now you saying that you have three servers: Jenkins Dev, Jenkins Build, Prod, Jenkins Test. In Jenkins Dev also you are going to build your project, right? You will be building your project, isn't it?
Yes.
In dev only you wanted to you will want to test it on the dev only, or if you don't want to test it on the dev, then let's say if you have a test server, so what you are going to do, you will, whatever the var file which you have built it, whatever the artifact which you have built, that artifact you are going to move it to the test server. So in your
Correct.
in execute shell you will write that, okay, now do SSS to this and do this and move this var file to that particular folder. So you will add one post build action that, okay, after the build is done, then do this stuff. Right. So,
Okay.
so then it has moved, then that var file has been moved to your Jenkins test branch, which you say as a branch, or I will say it as a server. So it will move to Jenkins. So now there will be a different pipeline will be running, because Jenkins test, if it is running on a different server, then it will be a complete different configuration for that server, right?
Yes.
And you will be running that entire, like you will be writing your test. You will not write your build job because already you have a build artifact ready there. So what you will do, you will make your environment ready and you will write your test cases. You can, let's say you have integrated with Selenium or TestNG, whatever, or
Yeah, but that is what you're talking still now is CI. I'm talking, or basically you're just putting your var file, but how you're deploying it to various servers on that.
that's what we saw right now, right? This is what we saw right now. This is what the deployment is. Similar process you will be fine. Now, let's say in your test environment, everything is ready, your test cases has been passed. And now you have to move it to your prod environment. Okay, move your,
Correct.
the final var file after the test cases has been passed, you have to move it to your var file. So what in the production server, you will be just you will be configuring it like the similar way we have written, and you will be like, now you are not going to configure the prod or something, but in prod also you have to build it, right? If any Java project you go, you can't you have to install Java and these things in that server, right? Once you have installed the Java, after that you will just deploy that var file. You will take that var file from this server. Now let's say I have this var file here on my this server. I have launched another EC2 instance. So what I will do, I will, on this particular server also Jenkins would be running. In this server I will configure a job which will take this var file and will move it to that particular server. Not clear?
Okay, yeah, a bit not clear, but let's take it offline. If everyone is not having that doubt, then let's take it offline.
Sachin, can you just go to build triggers again? Yeah. So here poll SCM basically does the deployment or build the job only if the new commits are pushed, right? Like
Yes, if
it
any
how it
GitHub
differs.
changes happen.
Yeah, so it differs from periodically, wherein periodically you actually give the time slot, and in poll SCM, if the new commits are there, then it builds the job, right?
Right. If any changes has been done into your Git, if any changes has been done into your Git repository, then only it will take it up. Else not.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Vaibhav, Shanmukha, Keshav, Umang, you guys are clear?
Yeah.
Great. Then we have covered this Git, the CI/CD process completely now. We saw that how this deployment happens. We saw that how, yes, the last session we saw that how the integration happens. Okay. Now you guys have to try all these steps, because if you don't try, you will not able to do anything. You guys face any issues, you guys let me know. And also you guys try to take any simple GitHub repository. Okay, if you go to my GitHub, I have created, I think, some hello world also. Okay, what I'll do, I'll create one hello world Java, normal Java repository here. Okay, this is there. This is there. I have in my repository Jenkins hello world. This. So try to config, like pull this repository in your server. Okay, and how you will, okay, can now I would like to ask Babita first that, Babita, let's say that I have to configure a job which will basically take this from my, which what first I have to do is, okay, let's go step by step. I'll ask question from everyone. So my first step, Babita, is that I want in my this server, I want this repository to be cloned. Okay, I want this code to be here in this server. Okay, what will I do? Or let's say if you are working in your Windows also, and if you have to fetch this, what you will do? I'll give you a hint. It's completely related to Git.
Yeah. So yeah, I cannot recall the correct command.
No
but
problem. I
so,
don't want command. I don't want command. I just want a flowchart, a pseudocode. That's it.
yeah, but we need to push it into Git first.
Exactly. You need to push that repository into Git first. And for that, what you will do? So Umang will tell us that for to push, what steps we have to follow. Umang, are you there?
Yeah.
So tell me the steps, please.
Is there you want to push?
Question was that how you will push that repository into any server or into your local host.
So we will copy that.
Your voice is not clear. Can you?
We will copy. We will copy that URL, the repository URL where we want to push, and we will then run the command git push and the URL path, and we will push it into that server.
Okay, Vaibhav, can you tell me that whatever he has told, is it correct?
I could not hear it properly.
Okay, he is saying that Git, if he do Git clone, that Git clone will able to create the repository. That Git clone will able to push it basically into my server. Is it correct?
Git clone would directly clone your repository. Like if you want just this particular thing, then we'll have to push that branch and fork it again. So that.
But before this, don't you have to initialize your folder, whatever the folder you are in working in, where you have to push it? Let's say if I create here one folder named as CD Sachin, so don't I have to initialize it to take the Git commands?
Yes. We'll need to first initialize it for Git. After that only we can run.
Yeah, that is the important step. You have to do Git init so that your folder is able to receive the Git commands. Okay. Now, once I have done Git init, I have done Git clone. So after that, Saurabh, what command we will run to push, or whether we will push or we will pull it? What we will do?
We can either pull or fetch from upstream.
Exactly. So we will do git remote add, we'll add that origin and we'll do git pull, and we will do that. Okay. Now, once we are done with this process, we have done git pull and this, I have the repository here. Now in the Jenkins job, I have to configure this. So what would be the first step? My Jenkins is a fresh completely. Okay, it's a complete fresh thing. What would be my first step for Jenkins to take that Git repository? And I want answer from Sarupa.
Mm. Clone is there in your local and you want to push it. Sorry, it's there in the Git and I want to make a, so I shall make a job so that it will be pushed to Jenkins.
No, already, sir, already the things are in my Jenkins server. Now I want that, okay, my end goal is that if I do any changes in Jenkins in my GitHub repository, Jenkins should be able to perform a new build. Okay. But to achieve all this step, what would be the first prerequisite which I have to see that in Jenkins?
I think in this configuration tool, you should set up all the Git path, give the name.
Before that, I don't need to do any other thing. Before that, I don't need to check any other thing. I have a fresh Jenkins. I have a fresh Jenkins. I don't have any configuration. Configuration is second step. Vaibhav, what you will do?
Yeah, no, come again. My net connection is a little bit slow.
Before configuring the job in Jenkins, what is the first thing I need to check in Jenkins?
First thing we'll need to check it's that plugins and all.
Exactly.
Like required plugin.
That you have to check whether the Git plugin is there or not. If it is not there, you have to go and install the GitHub plugin. That is the mandatory step. Guys, remember these kind of questions come in interview and they just manipulate you like this only. I have given a hell lot of interviews for DevOps. They never go with in depth of anything. They will make you at the basic only and they will ask you these kind of questions only. They ask you how you configure, and if you forget this, they will come back to this only. Okay, great. So now we are good with this. Now we are good with this stuff and all. So now let's talk about the email notifications. Okay. Now let's go back to my Jenkins. And I need to do what? I need to configure my email notification. Now to configure my email notification in Jenkins, what I have to do is...
Sachin, before that, I have one question.
Yeah.
So can you go back to the screen, screen which you were before?
Configuration part?
Yeah, configuration. So over here you have shown that from the master branch you are going, this job is going to take the code from master branch and then deploy it, right?
True.
Correct. So in case if I wanted to have different environments referring to different branches, how can I make that job?
Referring to the same branches.
No, say if I have dev, if I have say UAT and then I have say prod. So dev, I wanted to take the code from development branch. My UAT should take the code from master and prod should also take the code
So
from
you
master.
will have a 3 different branch also for that, right?
Yes, I have the branch, everything in GitHub. Now
So
my
you
Jenkins job.
branch name here.
So do I need to have 3 different jobs, or I can use the same job in
You
3
can use the
different
same job
environments?
by adding, you can add another repository and you can use the same job.
No, repository. Oh,
Repository URL will be same.
I have the same repository, yeah. So
repository URL will be same, but as your branches are different, so if as per Git configuration, as per Jenkins configuration, to make it understand that okay, different branches there, you have to add another like repository and associate it with that branch, right? Here only you can do one thing. Here only you can add branch for the single repository, add branch and add your dev branch.
then how will it pick up? Which branch do I need to take the code from? Because I have added 2 branches.
It
So
will will pick up all the branches whichever you have mentioned. Ideally.
But my requirement is based on the user selection of environment. Say I have a drop down where users select the environment. Say if I have IT1 or say if I have UAT, then I go to UAT and then so
You
then
have
I
to
do a UAT.
yeah. We are going to see that in pipeline. You give basically the input parameter before a build runs, and you give the input parameter. So where you ask user that what I have to do, and then you have to, it says that okay dev. So then you have to create a different dev build job, which will be building the dev, which will be running only build dev build job. For test, if the user select test, then you will do test. So this is being done via the coding. This can be done via the coding, not via the UI.
Okay. So
Yeah,
are you going to? So
it's
we are
via the
going to see that, right?
yeah. We will be talking after email. We will be talking about the pipelines only. Okay. If no other questions, then let's move ahead to the email notifications, which is again important because you want to get if the emails also if your build fail or if something else happens. Okay. Now for email notification, you have a plugin and you have to install that particular plugin and you have to configure your email address. Okay. Now, I think it will be already installed by default. It is installed. So you go to configure system under manage Jenkins. And if you go at the end of this, you will see the email notification tab. I have to use, let's say I'm going to use Gmail. So for Gmail, the SMTP server for Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. Now it says default user email suffix. So user email suffix, let's say it will be @gmail.com. Let me test it whether it is able to test or not. Let me try to send it to my email address. Test configuration. Sorry, I use SMTP authentication. So it will fail because I have not used authentication. I will give the username. I'll give the password. SSL. So SSMTP port is I think it's 465. I'll give my address only as a this. I'll do the test configuration again. You see it got failed again earlier. Now let me test it out. Username and password not accepted. How come it is saying authentication failed, man? Why it is not accepting that password? Password. No, there is something going wrong because normally it should send. I have configured this smtp.gmail.com. Default suffix would be @this. Use smtp auth smtp code. This is done. Okay, it says sign in attempt was someone was just trying. Google blocked it. Why the hell Google blocked it? It seems that some reason Google is blocking it. Probably we have to set some Gmail settings on, for which we have to do this. But that's the reason it is not sending. Let it get triggered. Just give me a minute. I'll be back. Okay, let's leave it. I'll see that what is the issue here going on. I'll fix that and I'll come back to you guys for this. So we'll discuss the email one later. Okay. Now, okay. Next is, so let's start with another important concept in Jenkins, which is the pipeline. Okay, which is the pipeline in Jenkins. Okay. So now, till now, whatever we saw, whatever we done, we did all those things manually. Now Jenkins has a very good concept known as the pipelines, which you are going to use in a real-time industry. Now for those kind of a concept, when you have to use a pipeline and all these steps, in those kind of scenarios, what you do basically, that you have a set of jobs which are interrelated to each other, as we saw in last session when we saw that we created 3 jobs named as job 1, job 2, job 3, and we said that okay, job 1 should run, job 2 should run after job 1 is built, and job 3 should run after the job 2 is built. That is the kind of a concept we do in the pipeline also. Now for these kind of scenarios, what we used to do is that we have to write the code in Groovy. Okay, so Groovy is a language which is supported by Java. That's the reason you write that pipeline code in the Groovy. It's very easy to understand. There are a lot of syntax, lot of things which are already there being provided by Jenkins. You can follow that, and there are a lot of for a lot of Groovy syntax is available over the Stack Overflow as well. We will see each and every steps and how it is related to each other. If you see here, we have some development activity going on. Code commit happened on the Git, and we have a pipeline like commit, build, test, stages, and these kind of a different pipelines are created, and at the end it is doing it in the production. Now, this kind of similar activity we will be performing in our demonstration. But Jenkins provide us different types of pipeline. One is the delivery and build pipeline. Another is Jenkins pipeline. Another is multi-branch, and the last one is scripted and declarative. In which the very important one is scripted and declarative pipeline, because that is what you write in your real-time industry. Okay. Now we will see how most of them. Okay. Now, to write all this pipeline and these concepts, you basically do what? That you write Jenkins file. Okay, you write a Jenkins file. So it is known as the pipeline wherever you write it, it is known as a Jenkins file. Okay. Now, let's try to set up a delivery pipeline. Okay, let's try to set up a delivery pipeline where we have these three jobs. One is build job, other one is test, another one is deployment job. For that, first of all, you should have the plugin, the delivery pipeline plugin. You'll go to available. And you will go here and search for delivery pipeline. Go and install. You see it is basically installing other dependent plugins as well. Now, meanwhile, this is happening. Let's not waste time here. Let's see the differences between the declarative and this. Before that, let's try to see some of the pipeline only. How you write the pipeline. I can remove this. So we write it in the language known as Groovy. Okay, which has a different plugin and stuff coming, but we'll see that there. Now there are two things. The first is very important, that is a pipeline. Okay, which you write for like when you write your pipelines, you write this word pipeline, open the curly braces, then you write agent any. Most of the cases we write agent as any. Agent is something which it will see that, okay, for let's say if it is a Node.js, so it says Node.js. If it is a Docker, it will say Docker, like that. But normally what we do as a recommendations, we write agent as any only. Okay. After that, we start writing the stages. After that, we start writing the stages. In this, suppose my first stage is what? A build stage. So I'll write my stage and I'll pass the name of the stage which is there. Now I have to do some actions on this stage. Okay, I have to perform some action on this stage. To perform some action on this stage, I'll write steps, sorry. Okay. Now these steps should be something I have to do with these steps. So I'll write, let's say if I'm running in shell, so it will be shell. If I'm running in Windows, it will be bat. Okay, BAT. And I'll write echo. I have to run this command, right? So I'll pass in the codes. My first application. And I'll pass it in this. Okay. Similarly, I'll close this. Let's say it is the one step only I have to write. I'll close this. I'll close my build job also. Now I have to write another stage. Okay. Now another stage would be what? My test stage. So I'll write my test stage. I'll write steps. I'll write sh or bat, whatever you want to do. I'll write echo my test stage. I'll close this. Now I'll close my stage test. I have to write my deploy stage. So I'll write my stage deploy steps sh echo. This is my deploy stage. I'll close the parenthesis, whatever I have opened, and after that I'll close my final agent parenthesis, sorry, stages parenthesis, then my agent, and then my pipeline. You see, this pipeline is being closed, this agent is being closed, this stages is being closed, this build is closed here, okay, this stage test is closed here, deploy is closed here. Now, this is the example of one of the pipeline. This is example of one of the pipeline. Anyone has any issue with anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask this first.
Sachin, what this SH and BAT means? I mean,
Okay, they are the commands. So normally until now in server you are writing echo and whatever you want to write and it will print you, right? But to run from the code, you have to give it a particular command, right? That sh means shell and bat is for Windows. Bat means batch. Okay, Windows accepts batch commands. Unix and Linux variants accept shell commands. So it will get to know that, okay, I have to execute. You right now, you write build trigger as execute shell, and then you just echo that. So now if how will code get to know that it has to write execute the triggers, execute shell trigger. So for that you define sh.
okay, and for the last deploy, you have only written SH. Is there any? I mean,
No, that I have just put it for you. That to if you
okay,
running on Windows, right? So for that,
okay,
I
okay, okay, fine.
on Linux, so I'll be using sh only.
Okay, okay.
People who are using Windows, they will not use sh until they have the Linux VMware installed. Anyone else has any questions?
And Sachin, we need to write this code in Notepad, and then
No, no,
where
no.
we
You
this?
can write in Jenkins also. You will write, we are going to write it in Jenkins only.
Oh, okay.
And otherwise, if you can write in Notepad also. It's not like necessary that you write there. Just the problem is that if you write here, you see, like, as I know the syntax and things, so you see I have aligned everything properly. It's just that everything needs a should be indented properly. So if it is this is the spaces are what these are indentation. In Python, if you remember right, Python used to follow 4-space indentation. So similarly,
Yeah.
this also used to follow 2-space indentation.
Yes. But right. But where we need to put this code in Jenkins?
Yeah, hold on. We'll
Yeah.
come to that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyone else has any question? No? Okay. Now let me first try to show you guys that how you can. What the hell? This is still running. Let me check whether it ran or not. It is installed, seems to be. It is installed. It has not restarted yet. So you can restart via this also. After the URL, you can append restart and it will restart it for you. So if you guys are fine with pipeline syntax, shall I tell you a few more things with the pipeline only? Meanwhile, this all things is being done. Like with the code part, what else we can do with, what else we can include and do this with code?
Yeah, sure.
How about others?
Yes, that's fine. It's fine, Sachin.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So let's say now, let's say that some job has failed. Let's say it has failed, but you might think that, okay, there are some jobs which don't get passed. There are some repositories, some artifact which get failed in one instance due to some network timeout issue or some other unforeseen issues. And you want to make a retry. You want to make a retry. So if you want to make a retry, what you do, you add a stage name as timeout. Okay, to retry, you add a stage name as, let's say you can give any name, you can give any name, but in the steps, there is one step known as retry, and you pass how many times you have to retry this. Okay, now whatever the like, let's say that after this here you will pass sh echo, I'm retrying, wait. Okay, so you write your codes here. So it's a simple one, but just I want to know you guys some basic functions, okay, which are being asked in interviews also most of the time, that how you going to retry it and all. Because in interview, normally if you say that, okay, I have created a pipeline, so they will ask you that, can you show me some sample? Okay, so you will, if you write this sample also, they are happy with this. But after that, they, like, if anyone would be the interviewer and if they want to check your knowledge, that do you know or not, so they will ask you, if I have to retry any build, okay, if it get failed, if I have to retry, what will I do? So you will say that I will write this retry. If I want to time out any job after a particular second, so let's say I am saying this job is for timeout, I'll write steps. Okay, I'll write steps here. I'll write sh echo hello. Okay, I'll close this step. Now, after that, let's say I want to write some more steps in this. So if I want to write some more steps, so for multi steps, what you will do, you will write it. If you have to write multi steps or multi lines, you will do like sh. Now this is a command for multi line. It's a echo. How are you guys doing? And then let's say that ls minus lrt, and then you close it. This is the multi-step. But before this, if I put timeout, if I put time out, and if I give these two parameters, time colon 3, and I have to define the unit of that time. So unit, this should be in caps, okay, seconds. If I do this, and after this, if I write anything, if I write any of these, now what will happen here? It will be, your job will be timed out here only. So these steps will not be performed. Okay, if you don't want to perform any build steps after, let's say you are doing some testing, some kind of testing in the build only, for that, if you want to time out anything, you can do via this process. Okay. Now timeout ho gaya, retry we have done. Now we want to do, now let's say you want to configure some environment variable. Okay, and you don't want to configure it in Jenkins, you want to configure it in the build only. Let's say I'll write pipeline this, the agent any stages, this stage build now. Ha. I'll write this steps. Okay, I'll just quickly write one step. Write one more step. And this you can close it as and when needed, whatever is done. Now I have to configure here. I have taken dollar name, dollar last name, means it has to come from some of the variable which has been defined as per normal shell scripting, Python scripting concept. Here there is a one word known as environment. You define that environment here. Okay, you define your environment over the top after your agent. You define the environment. Let's these two. So whenever it has to take these, you will close this. So all your environment you will define the keyword known as environment. Okay, all your environment you will define in the keyword known as environment. Now if I want to put credentials, okay, now if I want to put credential, because if you are using some API or these things, or you are connecting to database and all in your code, you would be using credentials also. For credentials, what we do, we write pipeline agent any. Okay, this syntax would be the same. After that, like you say, like you write in stages, and you write stage. Now you have to write the steps. Now you have to write the steps. Now in steps, suppose you are writing sh echo dollar secret. Okay, and you are done with here. Okay, now to add anything like that, what you have to do, you have, after agent there is no such like this. Now what you do, that you define your environment, and in environment you write secret equal to credentials, and whatever is the your like you are giving your secret name, not your secret only. Okay, you're not giving your secret here, you are giving your secret name, and you go into Jenkins. You go into Jenkins, you go to manage Jenkins, and here you have to configure that secret with the name which you have given in your code. Okay, here we configure our secrets under the manage credentials. Under this, like you have added this like here, right? Similarly, you go to add credentials, you write, you see that it gives so many: username, password, GitHub secret, SSH username with private key if you have to log into any SSH server, secret file, secret text, or any SSL certificate if you have those. So secret text we can write. It will ask me the scope, whether it's a global or whether it's a system related. So that we already saw when you do the, so it's basically like to all the Jenkins node and all. We will read about this more when we'll talk about master slave architecture. Here I will configure my any of the secret, and this ID should be the same which I am giving here. Okay, or vice versa. This should be the same for my this. Now once the pipeline will run, it will, sorry, it will take it from this one, from this test one automatically. So these are the few important things which are very, very important for every one of us to understand the steps. Okay, any questions here?
Sachin, one basic question. You mentioned that for multi-steps, this is SH uh, is used, and there was a syntax for steps. Uh, so, what what is the
Means,
difference between these two? Like, I did
sorry.
not. Maybe I missed something. You
Mhm.
mentioned for multi-steps, you use some SH. Then,
No, no, I meant to say that if you have to write multi-line like this, if you have to write like if you have to execute multiple commands. So in the same step, you want to execute, write, how are you guys doing? You want to write ls minus lrt, you want to write pwd. So in that case, you will be using like this.
okay, and what do you do with these steps? Like inside a stage, can you have multiple steps in it?
We can have.
So once you have written SH eco world, sorry,
This entire thing
eco
can be
hello
in a
world.
different step only. One more step you can write it. You can write it in one step also, you can write it in multiple step also. Means this is a kind, sorry, this is kind of a multiple step only, right? This, which, sorry, my bad. This is my multiple steps. Second line I am executing, this is a second step in the same one. But you are saying that if instead of this, if I want to write steps and in this, so whether this will work or not, right?
Yes.
Yes, this will also work. This will also work.
Sachin, can you go up, please?
Huh?
Can you go up? Okay. So in stages, we have stage. I mean, in stages, there are multiple stage, and in stage, you have steps. Okay. Right? Am I right?
Right. Under, for every stage, you will have step. Stage is what? Stage is nothing. Stage is your job.
Job, yeah.
Stage is your job, which you are going to create.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's try to understand the difference. Now we'll understand the difference more clearly. Now, both of them, there is no such difference in both of them. Just a small difference. Scripted pipeline is always starts with node block. Instead of pipeline, you write node. If you are writing scripted pipeline. But if you are writing declarative pipeline, you will write pipeline. Okay. The most used and one of my favorite one is declarative only, because it allows you to check in your file from SCM also, from your GitHub repository also. Means you can write your file locally, put it in the GitHub, and then you store it basically in the name as Jenkins file. Okay, all these things is stored under the name as Jenkins file. Okay, there is, without any extension, you just write Jenkins file and you store pipeline code under the Jenkins file and you push it into the GitHub. Whereas scripted pipeline does not allow you to do so. It allows you to write directly on the Jenkins instance itself. Okay. Scripted, you can write under the Jenkins instance only. Declarative, you can write locally, name as Jenkins file, push into the GitHub. Scripted, you write with a node, starting with a node block. Pipeline, you write starting with the pipeline. Rest syntax is same. Just this is the two difference. Okay, now let's talk about some of the features of pipeline. Now, pipeline helps you to, like, you can code your pipeline, means you can write everything in a proper code and you can make the changes from here itself without going into the UI. Okay, it offers you to do lot of other activities. It can take user input also. So user input, which I think someone asking me, someone has asked me with that user input, right? So input, you write input like input, and after that here you enter the steps. First you will write input, and let's say you write, do you want to proceed with this? You give this inputs. As soon as you give this input, right, your job will stuck here only. It will not build it because it has given some manual intervention. Okay, it has given some manual intervention. User has to go and select. There are two options: abort or proceed. Okay, proceed or abort. You get two options in the UI, and when you pass this, then only it will go and it will do the entire step for you. Okay, it will go and do this step for you. So we'll see all these things practically also, then it will be more clearer. Huh? So let's try to do one thing. Let's go back to the UI. Let's create 3 jobs. One second. Give me a second. Just 2 minutes break if anyone wants to take. Okay, so let's start with the delivery pipeline view. So we have installed a delivery plugin. Now to create that kind of a view, you go to this plus symbol, and you select here delivery pipeline view. Okay, we'll come back to this afterwards. We give it a name as a delivery pipeline, my first delivery pipeline, and you click OK. Now, once you click OK, after that, you see that how many pipeline per instances can run, and these are the basic like the configuration which are for the Jenkins. Similarly, okay, we have this. Now we'll see each and every steps after, further here. Let's create some jobs in this. Okay, let's create a new job name as field job. create a freestyle project for now. Everything else would be the same, just in the build I'll add one step to differentiate. Execute shell. Hi, I am build job. I'll apply and save it. I will go back to my first delivery pipeline, new, and I will write my first test job, and that I will do, I will copy it from my first let's create this one not showing there. Sorry, I have created test job again. My bad. I have to create that delivery job, but okay, consider this as that. Okay, now I have these uh, three jobs created. Build job. Sorry, let me do one thing. Let me delete this project. First example, my first test job, and we rename it to delivery job. Okay. Now what I want to do, that my first example build job, I will configure build trigger. It should run once my build job has been completed. Okay. So test job, I will configure my test job to run after my this has been completed. Build after other projects are built, and my first. Why it is not showing that project? Example name is first example build job. Okay, save and apply. Similarly, my delivery job should run after my first test job. My first test job. Apply and save. This is the same configuration which we did last time. Now, this is my delivery pipeline. Okay, this is my delivery pipeline. I have written created 3 jobs: build, test, and this, and I have done all this. I've configured them. Right now, we have installed a plugin. We have created a view and these things. Now, in this pipeline, we have to configure this job under the name as components. Under this components, I'll add this name, and that will be my first, no, sorry, my first pipeline. And I'll add what job? First example build job. It should run, right? And after that, I'll just go and apply. Now this is created. My first pipeline is there. What I will do, I'll go to my first example build job. I will build it. I will build now. It's done. Now come here. Now you see this is running. This is ran after this, and it also it is running, and these stuff is happening. Now let's go to this job from here. Let's see the console output. It says, hi, I am a build job. Let's go to this console output. It says, hi, I am the test job. So everything is running fine, right? Everything is running fine for my this pipeline view. It is running. Okay. Now, this is a small example where you can create your delivery pipeline via the UI. Okay, delivery and build pipeline you can create via the UI just by installing the plugins and by making sure that what all things has to be done. Now let's try to configure this. Okay, let's try to configure the settings for this. Let's go to edit view. Let's go to edit view. First of all, let's try to make it look a little bit better. You can write your own custom CSS files and all those things here. Okay. Now, if I want to see the total build time, so I can add total build time. Okay. If you have any tests and all, you can see that show test results. You can, if you want to rebuild it, so you can write enable rebuild. Okay. Let me add few of the things, and there was one more. Can anyone see the theme here? Okay, no problem.
Sachin, would that be same as avatars?
It should not be. Avatars are different. As per I know, it has. I have not worked on a long time on this. But let's select avatar. Let's see what we are going to do. Now you see. Now it gives me more information. What was the total build time took? Okay, whatever this happened. Now, if you want to rebuild this job, if you want to rebuild, so you can trigger rebuild this job again. It will rebuild it, this particular job here. Okay. And now let's say what happens that when you rebuild this job, let's say it got failed in between. Okay. So you will write trigger rebuild. Okay. This try option, you can get it from here only rather than going on the job again and rebuilding it. So these views are helpful for you to configure these things from here itself. Okay. These views are helpful for you to configure the stuff from here. Okay. Let's say if it is there, let's say enable start of new pipeline build. And here it is there. And now if you want to build this again, so I have selected the option enable start of new pipeline build. And if I click build now, so you see this has started and it is building it again. So this is one way via the UI you can create your delivery pipelines. Okay, this is a kind of a view which you can create for your jobs, whatever you are doing manually, the same process, but we have done it in the this way, in the pipeline way now. Any questions here?
What is pipeline instances?
Pipeline instances, where you are seeing that? Okay, configuration it was there, right?
Yes.
This means how many maximum, let's say if I say here how many pipeline you want to execute, how many builds it can execute. If I configure 3, so after 3 it will not build it. If I configure 10, you see that now it will build it, and these number of columns will be based on your jobs, how many jobs are there. If you want to do one more, you can trigger it one more. You see it has triggered one more. You can go and see this under the view full screen, and this is how you can see this. This is how you can monitor your jobs, whichever is being running.
And Sachin, here we did everything manually. Like we created 3 jobs, then we just connected them to each other. Like which should trigger before, which should trigger after.
Uh,
We did not use the pipeline which we made in that.
We'll come to that. If I would have shown all things at one go, you would have not understood the concept of pipeline, na?
Yeah.
नहीं दिखाई होती पहले, तो वहां लगता है कि वो कोड से वो जादू हो रहा है, पर मेरे को ये दिखाना था कि ये जादू कोड से नहीं हो रहा है, मतलब ये मैनुअली दिखा के आई वांटेड टू शो यू गाइस दैट हाउ यू कैन क्रिएट अ पाइपलाइन फर्स्ट. सो दैट कोड वाला जादू भी आएगा, बट लेट्स गिव इट अ लिटिल टाइम.
Okay.
Sachin, I have a doubt. In the last week also in build triggers, we created 3 jobs and we set up them periodically. Like job 1 will run first, then job 2, and then job 3. So the process was the same. But then why there was need to create this? I didn't understand that part. I mean, last
Why
week
there
also.
is sorry, your voice broke in last line. Why there is need for?
Yeah, so why there was need to, like, we first created this pipeline called Dell, my first Dell pipeline. Then we have jobs inside that. So last week also we had 3 jobs. We run after the another in the period. So why there was need to create pipeline, and under the pipeline we have these jobs. I mean, just to create a multiple jobs, and that's why we created this. I mean, I just don't I didn't got that part why we created this, though we had that facility to create jobs
I
periodically.
got your question. Okay, so anyone from the class want to answer? I'll also answer it, don't worry, Bhavita, I'll answer it. But anyone from the class want to answer it? Prasad or Saurabh, probably you guys wanted to answer that, why we have created a pipeline and why can't we do this? Like, as you guys are like, basically you guys can able to identify more how it could make a difference in our viewpoint. Prasad or Saurabh, you guys wanted to pick up this question? Okay. Okay. No one, no worries. Sanmukha, do you want to answer? No problem. Fine. So let me answer. So basically, Bhavita, what was happening that last time when we created Okay, so at that time when we created that, so basically the use case at that time was a different, like I just wanted to show you that how the job chaining works, like how from one job you can run another and then another. Okay, how the job chaining concept works. But I
Okay.
think anytime if you see that view, if you see the view and this, if you have this, if you are in the support, let's say if you are in a DevOps support, or if you want to see that what job failed or these things, I think the pipeline is basically helpful for more helpful for the views point of view, right? For the user view and all this point of view also. Apart from like doing the things in the code, you can create these better views. Okay, you can customize it as well. And now once you are done with this, so you will see that these pipelines will be helpful for me to see the status of my job and everything in a more interactive, more customized way. Correct. So that is the reason I right now also I have created everything under my Jenkins only. Okay.
Okay.
I have created everything under, all the jobs are under this only. Okay, this is just the view I have created, a different view, okay, through which I can see the things in a more better way. And in view in this pipe, now in this pipeline I have just defined whatever my initial job was there. The concept, other concept of job chaining and all this was the same only.
Okay. So this is like manual creation of pipeline, right?
Yeah, this is like a manual creation because you are doing just normal delivery pipeline and you have just configured the job and all. From the code, when we will be doing, we will not configure anything from the UI. We'll do everything from the code only.
Okay.
Okay,
And
now
is there any foundation like when you need to use this manual pipeline or when you?
that's up to your requirement. There is no foundation. Like if suppose there are some jobs which are like manually created and all, so you can see it in this way. But normally when you create pipeline also, then also you will see that this kind of UI. When you are going to create pipeline, then also you will be seeing this UI.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now fine. So do you guys like think that shall we proceed ahead for the with the code part, or you guys want me to stop here for the day? So because next 1 hour session is left, like we definitely will not drag it today for 1 hour. So if you guys want, we can take it tomorrow. So before ending up with Jenkins, next 1 hour session is left where we will be talking about the scripted pipeline and these concepts, and then we'll talk about this thing, the few other like Jenkins security and master slave architecture and these steps. So do you guys want to take it tomorrow or today only?
I think tomorrow will be better for me. Don't know about this.
I think it would be the same for everyone. Probably everyone is started thinking now. Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow would be better.
But it would be an extra load. I don't want you guys to head with all the things at one go. So great. Let's go ahead with tomorrow for the further session, and we'll start with tomorrow only, that how it is going to work. Now, so today this is all about the what we studied, that how you can do the deployment, how you can configure the things and stuffs, how you can do the pipeline concept, what is the pipeline concept. We saw the syntax and the formats, how you can use the pipeline in a different way. How the delivery pipeline works, similar the same way you configure the build pipeline also. In the build pipeline, you will be configuring only build job, let's say. And after your build job, you will be starting your delivery pipeline, which will be your delivery job. And similarly, you create your the pipe. You will we will talk about the pipelines and how you can create your pipelines and these steps. So tomorrow we'll start with this pipeline concept and this, and then we'll move on to the Docker. And so Docker and YAML will go parallelly. Like I'll make YAML is again another coding part a little bit. So I'll make you understand the YAML part a little bit. So that will go parallelly. And once the Docker is finished, then we'll start with Ansible, and then we'll start with Kubernetes. Okay. So that is how the flow will go, because once we will study about Docker, a lot of things I want to do with Docker and Jenkins together. Like I want to show 1-2 examples with Jenkins and Docker combination, and how those two combinations can work. So because there are few people here who want to switch for a job, and like who already know DevOps, but they want to see few of the use cases of that in that way. So it will be covered for them, and so that they can start looking for the job. Okay, any other questions, any other thing?
Okay, tomorrow we will be working on Groovy on the scripting that you told that.
भाई थोड़ा सा तेज बोल लो.
Tomorrow we will be working on Groovy.
Sorry?
Tomorrow we will be working on Groovy or not?
Yeah, we'll see these steps. We'll see how this.
Okay.
We'll see this.
Okay.
So now people who want to people who are doing the on the cloud, for them, what you can do one thing here. You can go to your not today, or today also you can do this because you have Java and Jenkins configured. So you go to your instances, and in instances, if you do right click, okay, right now don't go, just see what I am doing. If you do right click on your instance and go on image and click on create image. Okay, go on image and click on create image. So go on image and click on create image. Now you give the image name as Tomcat server image, and you click on create image. Close. Similarly, you go here and you click on whatever server you have. You click on Jenkins test image. So you can write Jenkins test image and click on create image. Now once you are this, so this is what you have created your image, because after this I am going to stop my instances, or I'm going to terminate my instances. So but I want my AMIs to be there. Okay, so tomorrow what I will be doing, you go to AMIs here under images, you launch, let's say this is one of your image, you click on this and you launch your server. Just you launch your server with that, and just enable your security group. That's it. Just enable your security group 28080 while launching. When you go to step 6, add rule for port 8080, and apart from that everything is done. So whenever you will log in, you will see you have the you have both the servers like in the same configuration which you left behind. Okay, so just create the images, and after that the same process of launching it. You don't have to again create a key pair and all those things. You can use the same key pair. So just create the images and make sure the status is available for that. So all of the people who are using cloud, they can use this thing for them.
Sachin, one question regarding the topics which you mentioned when you are covering them. So you are also going to cover the Chef Puppet and Terraform as well, right?
So not Chef Puppet in depth. Ansible will be in depth. Chef Puppet will not be in depth. Terraform we will do. Terraform we will do.
Okay.
Chef Puppet, I'll give the overview, because like that we have these Ansible, Chef Puppet, all three are the configuration language only. Ansible is most widely used because it is agentless actually. So that's the reason. Whereas Chef and Puppet are agent full language. So we'll not talk about much in depth about Chef and Puppet.
But Ansible and Terraform you are going to take.
Ansible and Terraform, Terraform and YAML we are going to cover. Like YAML is also easy, so we'll write down, like today we talked about this Jenkins file. Similarly, we have a Docker file, so we'll talk about all those and we'll write it. Okay, so guys, this is all. Apart from that, the another important thing is that like always terminate your instance. And this is, I'm not saying that this is like everything whichever we are learning. From the conceptual point of view, from the interviews point of view, from real industry point of view, it is everything. But you have to explore more. You have to explore a lot of things to see that how the things really work, and like when you go with the real-time industry and all. Okay, like you have to practice more with the different example and use cases as per your requirement. That's how we learn the things. Okay, so fine. I guess if no other questions, so we can stop for the day here. Okay. So thank you guys. Thank you very much for your say.
you, Sachin.
Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you, Sachin.